Welcome to the Hockey Huddle, the ultimate podcast for hockey fans by hockey fans, where we break down the latest on and off ice from power plays to game-changing trades. Whether you're a diehard fan or new to the sport, we've got all the action, analysis, and hot takes you'll need to stay in the game. We'll bring you exclusive interviews with other fans, weekly breakdowns, and everything you need to know from the NHL and beyond. So lace up your skates, grab your stick, and let's drop the puck on today's episode of the Hockey Huddle. Well, here it is, the well-expected and anticipated episode number 11, and here we are. Happy New Year, everybody. We're excited to be here for episode number 11. Jay, how was your New Year's Eve?
You know what? It was how do I say? Like, normally at my house, we start to have, some good food. Our friends come over. We start to have some drinks, some shots. Next thing you know, some people are singing louder with the music. We start dancing and all that stuff. None of that happened. Well, half of that happened. We ate food and we drank liquids, and then the ball dropped and we all said Happy New Year, and then everybody left at like 12:09 or something. Not a regular New Year's Eve for the Hogan household for sure, but I don't know, man. We're getting older, so maybe that's what it is. Can't say. How was yours, buddy?
Well, man, it was a lot different. Yeah, I had a whole hell of New Year's Eve. Sorry to hear that yours was a little quiet, but hey, this quiet can be nice.
Yeah.
I went to the Flames Canucks game, and we'll talk about that game in a minute. Maybe the best game I've seen this year.
What?
Maybe the best game, buddy.
Okay.
It was a great game. But I'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
My sons were here, so my sons were visiting for the I have adult sons visiting for the holidays, and they were here hanging out. And we went to a New Year's Eve party after the game. So there was a game at the rink, and they hosted a New Year's Eve party in the rink in like the suites area. So
Cool.
I bought these tickets and breaking the place over here. So I bought these tickets, and off to this party we went, and they did something kind of cool. Actually, they did fireworks on the ice on New Year's Eve, which I thought was kind of neat. So they
Cool.
did a little bit of a fireworks show like for the fans, and then off we go to this New Year's Eve party. Now, I don't know about you, but I have not been to a club for 20 years, maybe 20
Like some
years.
time. Yeah, I'm with you.
As my kids said, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've been to the club, whatever that means. So we get to this party, and it's like, the music's going, there's a DJ there, the lights are flashing, the crowd, like it gets packed. This thing is packed. Lineups at 5 different bars. So we kind of work our way up to the bar, and I get the guys some drinks, and one of my sons so my sons are all very different but have similarities. I have 5 sons, but my one son, I won't say his name, my one son is very outgoing. He is a very charismatic guy. He is out there, and he was there, and like the music starts and he's dancing. He's having a good old time, and he's looking around, looking at who's partying, and then this drunk guy comes over and he's like, hey, come on, let's go dance. And they're dancing with their group, and this guy's my age. So he's out on the dance floor with his brother, with this guy and his group of friends, and they're dancing on the dance floor. And he comes back, and there's these 2 ladies that are kind of, younger ladies that are kind of behind us. And he goes over and he starts wheeling these girls. And all of a sudden, what do I know? They're taking pictures of each other. He's taking pictures of them. They're talking. And I'm like, listen, you need to be on an airplane at 9:30, or we need to be at the airport at 9:30 tomorrow morning. It's 11 o'clock at night. Make sure you're at the airport. So whatever happens here, because 100% for sure, this was a lock. Like he was like, for sure, he was going home with these people, these 2 ladies. And he's looking at me and he's like I can tell he's like he needs to catch his flight.
Yeah.
Shouldn't I? So he showed incredible restraint, and he opted out of whatever was going to happen. And I'm telling you, it was going to happen. Whatever you can imagine, it was definitely going to happen.
It was happening.
They were up one side and down the other on him, and he was loving every second of it.
Oh, for sure.
His brothers were kind of side-eyeing him like, is this really happening? Is this really happening right now?
Did you have catnip on him? Was that what's going on?
He had catnip. 100% had catnip in his pocket.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to whisper to him like, hey, airport 9:30 tomorrow morning. Whatever happens, text me. Let me know you're safe. Blah blah. Because like, hey,
yeah, for sure.
We don't want to miss a flight. Anyways, it was a hell of a night. And one, I was in a place I didn't belong, in the club, which is like, that's not my scene anymore. The last time I was at like any place that had loud music was maybe last summer. We were at a beach and there was some loud music going on, but not like this club environment. I
Okay.
felt so out of place, dude. I felt like 20 years ago, I was the old guy at the club. 20 years
Right.
ago.
I gotcha.
This this was not like my wife and I have taken like dancing lessons like Charleston and Lindy Hop lessons, and we've been doing
Right.
that for a while. But it's like it's big band music.
Right.
Like it's not
So
like
in the
this
club dance music,
not
right?
in the club dance, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I was and it like people would walk by me and be like, "What?"
What's happening here? What is going on?
The
Is he the
seniors party
chaperone?
is
Chaperone?
yeah.
Chaperone. Okay.
Security. He's security.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So what also happened is this security guy comes sidling up beside me, and he's standing there, and he's
Yeah.
arms crossed. I'm kind of looking at him, and he's kind of looking at me, and I nod at him, and he nods at me, and I think he thinks I'm undercover or something,
Oh.
because it's like he looks at me and it's like, this guy doesn't belong here. He must be part of my security detail that I don't know about.
The
And I'm looking at
Peter undercover? Yeah.
that's right, and I'm looking at him, and like. I know for sure he's thinking, okay, he's got my back if something goes down. And
Obviously.
we're just kind of standing there, a couple of dudes who like hockey,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Oh my
Little
God,
did I
dude.
know, there is a room attached to the room we were in,
Okay.
and it's a restaurant slash standing room restaurant slash bit of a like not a concert venue, but a smaller intimate setting where you could have a small concert. As we're leaving at whatever time we left,
Sure.
12:01 or whatever
Okay.
whatever the time was.
Yeah.
As we're leaving, we find out there's a rock band in the next room.
Shut
But
up.
we
Who was
couldn't
that?
hear the rock band because of the
Right,
the
right,
music
right.
going on, the lights and all that stuff. And I'm like, are you mother?
Yeah.
So
Who was it?
we could have been watching this live on just it was a local band. Let me tell you something. The local bands here in Calgary, like the live bands, I've been to see a couple of country bands play, like local country bands, and a couple of like rock bands play. The music scene is amazing. Like the artists
Really?
here are so talented, dude. And I probably need to pull up a name off my phone just to pull up a couple of bands. But
Okay.
man, are these guys great? Everybody that I've seen, anyways, I've only seen 4 or 5, but
Yeah.
in
That's
6
awesome.
months, 4 or 5 is a
Yeah.
lot, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And
That's
it's
awesome, man.
hell of a New Year's Eve. I lived it, I lived it on the sidelines a little bit, watching my kids have a good time, which was, hey, that's all I cared about. They were having a good time, and made friends with Biff, the security guard, as he and I
Nice.
were flexing at the dance floor, watching people get stupid.
Oh, buddy. See, usually my house turns into a club, and literally it just goes loud, and it's so loud, and it's crazy. We push all the furniture off to the side. The next morning, I need to take a shovel to go through the kitchen to dig out of what's going to happen. It's crazy. And Shane, you all know Shane. When he drinks beer, he doesn't finish it. He leaves a little bit at the end, right? Because he says that's, what did he call it? Afterflow or backwash or whatever. I'm like, dude, it's your backwash. Drink it. But he never does. So my house, after he's been here, always smells like a brewery, and not in a good way. That old, musty, hot beer or gross. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyways, but yeah, we usually have a party. But buddy, I'm glad that you had the party this year. I live vicariously through you then, man. That's awesome.
all right.
That sounds like a ball.
Hot old musty beer does not sound right, buddy.
It's not good. No, it's terrible.
Ugh.
Terrible. Ugh,
Hey,
exactly.
So this game, man, this was maybe the best game of the year I've seen. Calgary versus Vancouver, good rivalry. It was a feisty game. So first period happens, Flames are up 1. I think it's 1-0 or 1-1. Second period starts off, and from minute 7 to minute 12 was mayhem. There was, I think, 3 fights, 4 roughing penalties. Like complete brouhaha. We're going to put a picture up here, wherever the picture is going to be.
Yeah.
At one point, 3 Calgary Flames in the penalty box, 5 Vancouver Canucks in the penalty box, standing room only in the box. Myers, who is 9'4" or however tall he is,
yeah,
he's standing in the box while 4 other guys are seated. Lomberg fought twice in the game. Kevin Ball fought. Now Kevin Ball's a dude, like, I don't want to mess with him. He's also 9'4", however big he is. Like that is a large human being. And yeah, it was feisty, and it looks like the Flames kind of had their way with the Canucks. Now JT Miller got in one of the fights. I think Kevin Ball and JT Miller were in one, and it was maybe a bit of a wrestling match. I don't think Ball is much of a fighter after I've just said like the guy's 9'4", and I don't want to mess with him. Which I don't. But man, what an exciting period of hockey. And my sons were with me. I say boys, they're men. My sons are with me. And as we're walking in the rink, my 16-year-old son says, "Hey, do you think there's gonna be any fights?" La la la. And I was like, "No, not really. Calgary's not really a fighting team. There's not a lot of fighters." The guy who was a fighter, Anthony Mantha, he's got a bad MCL, so he's out. Ryan Lomberg fights, not this year. That's the news on him.
That bad, eh?
That bad, yeah. Complete tear.
Yeah.
So they were talking about Ryan Lomberg, and I said Lomberg's a bit of a fighter. Like he got in this fight where he said he felt bad about punching this guy in the Montreal Canadiens in the head
Hmm.
over and over again. I didn't feel bad for the Montreal
No,
Canadiens
not at
at
all.
all. Montreal
He
toilet
looks like
seats.
a garden gnome, though. He's a little stout guy. You know what I mean? Like possible hobbit, you right? Like
Possible,
in,
but
yeah,
an
I wouldn't
angry
want to fight
hobbit.
his mustache. Oh, he's an angry elf for sure.
Buddy,
Yeah.
he went off. Twice he went off, and he went off like he was ready to go. Like that, he was ready to go in the second period. Now I'm gonna talk. So despite the fact that this is like a great chippy, scrappy second period, I loved
Yeah.
every second. The crowd was going
Good.
crazy. The crowd's loving
Awesome.
it. Gloves all over the ice. Mackenzie Weegar, who I have a hockey crush on.
For sure you do.
Uyghur was in the mix. Oh, I want to tell you something else about that game.
Yeah.
So Uyghur's in the mix, slightly off topic. So I like to go down to the glass for the warm-ups. Just watch the warm-ups at the glass, like right nice
Good.
and close. So some of the guys have rituals, and I've started watching some of these rituals. And what's interesting is Rasmus Anderson will kind of skate around through his warm-up, and when about halfway through the warm-up, what he'll do is he'll find 3 fans that are at the glass, and he'll fire a puck at the glass. It's kind of like to me, it looks like a greeting, like "Hey, I see you,"
Okay.
and I'm
Yeah.
gonna so he comes skating around, and we're sitting like just off the side of the net. Hey, look, there's a net right behind me. We're literally sitting like right here for the warm
Yeah.
ups. So he comes by and he fires a puck at the guy who's like over here. Like this pops one off. He looks at the play, like he looks at the fan, kind of nods and goes on. The second person, my son, my 16-year-old, is sitting directly beside me, has a look at him as he's coming in, bounces the puck off, gives him a bit of a nod, and
Mhm.
goes and gets the third guy. The third guy is the guy who's the kid who skates on the ice carrying the flag around. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I think that was a pretty cool experience.
Yep.
First time at the Saddledome for these guys. First NHL game for him, and I thought that was pretty neat. And I think they probably like I don't know how well they recognize people. I'm sure they recognize me and my youngest son
Mhm.
because we're there often, and we'll go down and watch the warm-ups often. And I've seen a couple of guys kind of skate by and nod, like they recognize who you are.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the third period of the game, and the worst possible thing happened. Nazem Kadri, and this is a guy I love to hate, and we
Mhm.
watched this guy in Toronto.
Yep.
He played in Toronto, and in like such a frustrating way. He started this game in such a I've never seen him so lazy in a hockey game. He's a lazy guy,
Mhm.
but I've never seen him so lazy. The crowd's like the crowd's not booing him. They're going like, what the hell? Like you can
Mhm.
hear people going, what the hell? And they're gasping at how bad he's playing. So he has a lazy game. He's not like he is on the forecheck a little bit, but he's half-assed in the forecheck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we get to this point where it's 1-1, and who scores the second goal, and a beauty of a second goal, but Nazem Kadri. And I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited they're up 2-1. It's an exciting time. The crowd is electric, like so electric because there's been fights and scraps and it's been a chippy game. Place is going nuts. The fire is going off around the scoreboard. That's something they do in Calgary. They got this fire going on. And I'm thinking, like, I've been so angry at Nazem Kadri all game. And then he scores this goal, and I love to hate this guy. Just love to hate him. Dude, how do you play in such a lazy way and then you score the game-winning goal? It wasn't the last goal of the game, but it was enough it was the 2-1 goal.
Right.
Just frustrating to watch him play. Like, you and I would have outskated him, and
wow, okay.
you and I could have outplayed him while he's forechecking the defense in the defensive end. Dude, it was not
It's like
good.
he's checked out. He doesn't want to be there, kind of thing. He's like preseason dog days of summer or dog days early games. He just doesn't want to show up. Like, he's
I
not
don't know.
motivated. It's weird, eh?
But he's motivated the second the puck's in his wheelhouse. And that's what happened. The puck hits his wheelhouse. Bing, bang, boom. He scores the goal. It's 2-1. And he's got this great celebration going on. And all of a sudden, he's all fired up. I'm like, dude, where's that been for the first 44 minutes of the game? Like, why is it all of a sudden that? That's who
That's a
he is.
problem.
I know.
Yeah.
I know who he is. I know what kind of hockey player that. But man, he is like to me. He's like that Jeff Merrick to me. I don't know if I hate or love, admire Jeff Merrick.
Yeah.
Because he knows everything about hockey.
Yeah.
Nazem Kadri, like maybe it's his way of like lulling the team to sleep. His opposing team to sleep. They're like, oh well, he's not really trying hard. He's not skating. I don't have to worry about him now on the back check because he's not going to go ripping by me. And sure enough, what
And
does
then
he
he
do?
does. Yeah.
Goes ripping by you. Maybe that's part of his thing.
Maybe.
But dude, frustrating as
I'll get it. Hey, did you hear? So Brad Richardson, back in 2021, for 17 games, played for Vancouver Canucks. Yep. And he went online somewhere, and he started talking about the relationship between JT Miller and Mr. Pedersen there.
Elias Pettersson, yeah.
Yeah, and what he said was that JT Miller was he was like, Pedersen was a rookie at the time, and he was like giving him the gears all the time, would not let him, be a Nazem Kadri, for a better term, because you brought it up, being lazy or making the right plays, and he was just all after him, no matter what happened, trying to make him a better player is what Richardson was saying. But Richardson said at one point, but you can't push this guy that hard, man. He's going to explode. He's not that type of player. And so I think that's where the pushback was coming between these two players. It came right from a guy that played with them during that time frame. But one of the things that Richardson said in his interview was, listen, I would take JT Miller over Pedersen all day long. So if they need to trade someone on that team, even though Pedersen's younger, more skilled, he said he doesn't have the buy-in that JT Miller has. And Miller will give his life for the team, and that's the real separator. So he said if they have to choose between the two, he would choose JT Miller.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And what's also interesting is that Pettersson and Hughes were not on the ice. Obviously, they're not playing for Vancouver right now.
Yeah.
And Miller is definitely the director on the ice. He is the guy coordinating what's going on. And when he's taking a draw or he's in the mix, he's the one telling guys, get over here, move there, let's make this play.
The conductor. Yeah.
The conductor, for sure.
Yeah.
He's definitely driving some of that, whatever that is that they're doing. And Vancouver plays a very good systematic style of game. Like, they have set plays and they have set moves and they have these breakouts and they have this like offensive zone. They run this funny, they run a funny cycle. So you know what the regular cycle looks like when a team's down low and they're cycling the puck. They run like a 3-man behind the net cycle, which is kind of weird. And it took me a second to go, this is their version of that.
Right. Okay.
It got broken up a couple of times, but interesting to see JT Miller driving a lot of that. And hey, he had a hell of a year last year, did he not? Like, that guy is.
He's almost like love him or leave him, because he played for who was at Tampa Bay, and they couldn't trade him fast enough, right? And he also played for the Rangers, and they couldn't get rid of him fast enough. So it's almost like he's a guy. He's an acquired taste. He's like coffee. If you've never drinking coffee before, and then you start drinking, it takes you a little while to get used to it. But then after you're there, you're connected, right? You're addicted. So that's the only thing I can equate. That's what I would equate JT Miller to be. And it seems like all the players that play with him, that love him, that want to go, he's the guy. But man, he's an asshole, right? You know what I mean?
Is he ever? Is he ever? Yeah. And you can see that on the ice. Like, you can also see that he is unpleasant to play against. Like, this is a dude, like, you want him on your team because he scores goals, he directs the play, and other teams don't want to go in a corner with this guy. You don't want to be in front of the net with this guy. You know he's going to try and mess you up somewhere. He's going to try and cause you like a ton of grief and pain.
For sure.
And hey, love to have him on my team. Hate to play against him.
Yeah, I hear it. And he's not afraid. He doesn't care. He's going to tell you what he thinks, and it doesn't matter if it ruffles your feathers, whatever. That's the way it's supposed to go, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I want to talk about another guy with Calgary, and I've talked about him a little bit, and I might be like, as much as you know that I've got this like hockey crush on Mackenzie Weegar. Why isn't he on Team Canada? Let's go.
Right.
Come on, Team Canada.
Big mistake.
What's up? Big mistake. Matt Coronado is, and I think we talked about him last week. He's like 22 or 23 years old.
He's young. He's really young.
Yeah. Young guy. And he plays with the maturity of a guy who's been in the league for 10 years. He broke up a 2-on-1. So Vancouver had a 2-on-1 on the New Year's Eve game. Not against Utah, which was the last game they played, but the game before. Vancouver gets away, and it's a clean 2-on-1. Like, there is, if they do it right, Dustin Wolf doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
And he comes back from the opposing blue line, full speed, head down, and dives into the pass E. So that the puck carrier's got the puck, the defenseman's in the middle. Now, obviously, they can't see him coming. They can probably hear him coming, because I could hear him coming, and we were, 21 rows up in the stands. He's tearing down the ice, and he gets full like horizontal on the ice, gets his stick out. What does he do? He breaks up this 2-on-1 with the tip of his stick, and the crowd goes nuts. This guy, he has got the heart of a champion. This is a guy I've talked about a couple times now. Come on, like, this is a guy who's got.
They drafted him too, Rick?
He's their guy.
Nice. That's
the
fantastic.
effort on him, the maturity on this guy, he is going to be a top 6 forward on any team for years to come, especially if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah.
Dude, high five, Matt Coronado. He's 22 or 23, but when you look at him, when you see a picture of him, or you see him like in the
years
world,
old. Yeah,
I saw.
Yeah,
That's what we were
talking about. We're like, he's like 27, right? Because 39 or something, right? Yeah,
No,
he
no.
does. He looks like a grizzled veteran. He's like 22.
And he plays like a
Unbelievable.
grizzled veteran. And smart plays. What
That's
about the
good.
goaltending? What about this kid, Dustin Wolf?
You know what?
What is
He's
happening right now?
again, Calgary got lucky with this kid, man. Like, and you know what? Kudos to them that they didn't just bring him up and throw him in there, right? They didn't. They waited and waited. No, they had Markstrom, who came from Vancouver, then to Calgary, right? And they had Vladar and a bunch of other David Riddick, and they sheltered this guy. He could have been in there like 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, but they just made sure and they took their time with him, and good for them, man, because goalies mature a little bit later. They mature around, what, 24, 25 kind of thing, and that's kind of when they start figuring it out. But how old is he? He's like 23, isn't he?
23 years old.
Yeah.
And the kid, and initially when we started this podcast, I was telling you, good goalie makes bad decisions. Like he
Mm-hmm.
makes some immature decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And in the course of the 38 games that the Flames have played, he's gone from making bad decisions to really dialing that back. And
Nice.
you don't see him mishandling the puck at the side of the net. You don't see him misplaying kind of when you fire the puck in and you rim it around the boards.
Yeah.
He's not misplaying a rim around the boards.
Beautiful.
And buddy, has he looked like solid in net, and just it looks like he sees everything. Like he sees the pucks that go zipping by that come out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
you see man, and Vladar, what a shit show Vladar is right now. Oh, buddy, you and I talked about tip the net over. Let's play posts. Put a
for
pile
sure.
on.
He's
Put
terrible.
a chair or a pylon in there. God, it's so
He's
bad.
That's sort of like Matt Murray comes up, Leafs are up, what, like 5-0. 5-0. They have like 2 shots and they go in. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, buddy?
What are you doing?
He looked terrible. Hildeby looked terrible. Anthony Stolarz, please come back. We need you. The Pebble's gone. You got rid of it. I think he's coming back in another 3 weeks or something like that. But Joseph Wall has played either really, really good or not good. Like he's made some bad decisions. I think what they say, he was like 6-4 over the past 10 games that he's played, and the 4 were terrible. The 6 he did pretty well, but he needs Stolarz there to push him. Stolarz is what separated the Leafs in their goaltending, and we need Stolarz back, buddy. If we're going to do anything in the playoffs, we need him.
100% agree with you. Stolarz and like the combo of Stolarz Wall has been so great, and your point about him pushing Wall, I think that's an amazing point, and that might be the difference maker in what that looks like. Matt Murray does not belong in the NHL on a first place team, not a first place team.
No.
There's teams out there that need Matt Murray as their backup. There's teams that are, you've got like Montreal, Ottawa, like Pittsburgh, Columbus, like teams that are kind of sitting in that, like on those bubble teams. He's a great backup. Hildeby obviously needs more time.
He needs some seasoning in the AHL because 100%. Hildeby had that game with suspect. He still won, but then he went down in the AHL and had a shutout. You know what I mean? Like almost. I think he had back-to-back shutouts after that. It's a different game.
But is it that big of a difference between the A and the NHL right now? Is there a huge gap?
What I've heard from the goaltenders and the goaltending experts of the world is saying that the speed of the NHL is just ridiculous. Everybody's fast at all times. And in the AHL, it's kind of like you can follow it, you can see where it's going, and it's fairly easy to track the puck. But in NHL, players they think differently. They don't do the same thing. They're not predictable, right? Whereas in the AHL they are. And so that's what people are saying. That's the difference maker, right?
I think it's fascinating to watch some of these teams and the way that these teams move and set up in the zones and the speed that they move and how they change speed so fast. So like you're saying, like everything's happening at a faster pace, but there's some really skilled teams that'll slow it down and lull you into like this, like a little bit of like, ooh, I've got a chance to make a play, and then zoom, they just crank the dial back up and forget about it. You're done.
They're not predictable, right? They're changed, so they're different. Yeah, they don't have to, like you said, they don't always have to be the fastest, but they're smart, right? And I think that kind of messes with them. And they took a couple shots on Hildeby, and they scored 3 goals from beyond the circle and the dot, right? And it was almost like he didn't think they were going to shoot it. And my son's a goalie, and I always tell him, I go, buddy, as soon as they can shoot from anywhere, always anticipate a shot coming. You can never not be aware or be on your game. And I would actually stand behind the net and I would talk to him through the whole game and kind of get him to where he was getting really, really good at it, but always You always got to be on your game. And if the goalie puts his head down even for a second, NHL players see it and they take the shot, man. They're so smart.
You're gonna get burned the second you stop paying attention, like that 100%.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about a bit about Toronto and the game against New York. So they just played the Islanders, and I
Like
also want to
7
talk about
times we just played them. Which game did you want to talk about? The first, the
I know
second, the third? Like, oh my
third in a
God.
row.
It's terrible. And Islanders are a really bad team to watch. They're terrible. Oh my God, they're
Boring,
terrible.
boring team to watch. Oh my
Oh,
God.
so boring.
But what the best part about all of that is that John Tavares and the Toronto Maple Leafs are looking fantastic. Tavares is having a year, buddy. Like this
Mhm.
is like what a like I we're gonna keep talking about this. Obviously, I'm biased because he's my best friend and we hang out a lot.
Yeah.
But dude, what a year this guy is having. Man, has he just turned this around? And it's funny because you got Matthews who's now wearing the C and he's not having a year.
No,
Like,
he's
yeah, he's scoring
injured.
goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks good, but he's hurt and he's
Yeah.
not having a year.
No,
It's
I agree.
not
One thing about your buddy John T, you know what would be the biggest FU to the Islander fans? Go listen, you know what? I'm a free agent and I was going to pick a team that has heart and everything like that. And, I want him, just so everybody knows, I want him to stay in Toronto. But the biggest FU would go, I'm going to go sign with the Rangers. I'm just going to sign with the Rangers and I'm going to love every minute of it. And then we're just going to buy all the players. And then I'll tell you, the New York Ranger fans will go into Long Island. And if anybody boos Johnny T, they'll punch them in the face holes. Like, come on, these guys. That would be the biggest FU and Johnny, or just win the Stanley Cup. And just when you have the Stanley Cup, go back to your old house on Long Island and just sit on your lawn, buddy, and just drink from that cup, from that old one. F those fans. Just brutal. They're brutal. 7
I think
years of
that's
bullshit.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
We should do it.
And
We'll go down with them and we'll drink the cup with straws right on Long Island, right on this front lawn where he used to live. We'll go to the Barclays Center, we'll have a convertible and drive around with a cup. And go, look, this could have been yours.
count
But
me
you
in.
guys, yeah, classless fans. Classless.
Oh,
Anyway,
buddy,
sorry, go ahead.
I hate classless fans.
Oh, they're bad. I understand getting angry and doing that and stuff like that, but get over it, man. It's a sport, right? A sport's a team player thing. It's for fans. Don't be idiots. They're idiots.
Mitch Marner, 39 games played, 13 goals, 38 assists for 51 points. Must be a contract year for Mitchie. Willie Nylander, 39 games played, 23 goals, 20 assists, 43 points. Third in scoring on the Leafs is John Tavares, 19 goals, 19 assists, 38 points in 38 games
Beautiful.
played. He is a
Beautiful.
point per game once again. This
What a
guy,
beauty. What a beauty he is.
and he's a +6. He's a +6, dude.
Yeah.
When you've got Mitchie and Nylander who are zeros,
Yep.
you've got Austin Matthews who's a -2. He's a +6.
Mhm.
Morgan Riley -9. Oopsie.
Raggy.
He's having a tough go, man. Riley
He
is
is.
having a
We
tough
talked about
go.
Riley. Something's not right, man. Like, something's not
Something's
going right
off.
with this guy.
Yeah,
They keep
something's
flushing him
off.
around with all these different this different guys on his line. Just set him with one guy. I know they're trying to do it because they're trying to find the right fit, but figure it out, man. Set him up with one guy and go, this is your guy. This is what you're going to do, and go do it. And they're sheltering him, and I think it's hurting his game, man. I think, like, he's not playing the minutes that he would play normally. And because he's not playing those minutes, it's definitely hurting him. And that's a kind of a segue to, I'm not sure if you want to go to Team Canada, but I heard, who was it, Frank Saravelli was talking about the London boys. So the London Knights that are on the team, they play these guys. Like, for example, say the average OHL player plays, say, 18 minutes a game. These guys are playing 26 minutes, okay? They play the full 2 minutes. They do all these different things, and they're heroes, and they're expected to be there. But that's not what happened for Bonk and Easton Cowan and
No.
and the players from London. They were short-shifted, weren't filling their regular game. The coaching was terrible, man. Like, what is this guy doing watching?
Dave Cameron, what is up,
Oh,
Dave
my.
Cameron?
He was so terrible.
Let's talk about this for a second.
Oh, yeah,
So
go.
what happened with the pregame skates and the practices? He canceled 3 in a row. Canceled 3 pregame skates, no practices. What the hell
Why would you do
happening?
that? Why would you ever do that?
Why would you do that? Like,
I don't know.
when he got asked to defend himself, he says, I can't say anything about it. What?
What were they trying to do? Like, trying to, like, save their energy because maybe that was going to be their edge or something?
Here's my take on this.
Yeah, tell
They
me.
didn't. And so, what do you know about soccer, international soccer? What do you think of when you think of international soccer and big tournaments? And, like, what is the first thing that comes to mind for you about international soccer?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Snoring. Lots of snoring,
What
paint
about the fix?
drying.
How about games being fixed?
Oh my God. The soccer is the fix, dude. You are right. Yeah, the fix is in. You think
What
so?
about the fix by officials in soccer?
Oh my God. Yeah, for
Like
sure.
there's
Yep.
documentaries about the fix and these guys getting caught.
Soccer and boxing are the two most known for being fixes. Well, wrestling, but yeah.
Tell me about a knee penalty against Czechia where a
Oh,
knee didn't touch a guy and it got reviewed and a 5-minute penalty got assessed.
from the knee from the grassy knoll, is that what you're talking about?
Like the sniper in the
The
building across
magic
the
bullet.
grassy knoll, the
Yeah.
magic bullet. Somebody got caught for a knee penalty. What? When you look at that play over and over and over again, his leg, and for those of you listening, this is not a rude gesture.
Yeah.
This is because
Sorry.
putting the video on here is going to be a pain.
Yeah.
It's his leg goes between the two legs and he hits shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
I realialize how awkward that looks.
That's fine. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah,
There's
maybe
no
you can
knee
do it.
on me.
Can you slow-mo that down so I can understand what happened? He's good.
Through
Ah,
shoulder to shoulder.
shoulder to shoulder. Dude, that was the same with the second knee penalty with 41 seconds left to go in the game, which, by the way, we lost last year with 11 seconds left to go by the same team. The fix is in, man. Like, we haven't gone to a medal round in 2 straight years. Now, what is that saying about Canadian hockey? Like, I was impressed with Carter George, the goaltending. Fantastic.
Buddy, how good was Carter George?
Oh, thank God, because we're going to need him in the Olympics because we need a goalie. We don't have a goalie. Carter George, you're our goalie. Like, congratulations, you have it. Yeah.
The first goal exactly. Yeah. Let's go, Jay Jr.
Yeah.
The only goal that he gave up, or the first goal he gave up, was against the U.S., I think. Yep. So it wasn't until his third game he gave up his first goal. Come on.
It was amazing. He's an amazing player. They had 11 penalties in the game before versus 3. The other team, it was ridiculous. They were hitting. Like, if you're not allowed to hit, just say, hey, there's no contact, then we won't hit. But the Canadians were definitely hitting. There were some that were potentially, maybe, sort of penalties. And then the one that made me laugh in the last game is finally, so we get a power play, and they called us for diving, so it was relegated. Like, it was, I'm like, come on, man.
The fix is in.
Dude, I think, seriously, there has to be. But it was being played in Canada, though. Like, who's making all this money?
Well, I don't know who's. It's something international. Like, it's got to be in the betting, or it's got to be somewhere along those lines. Come on, like, are you kidding me right now? 11 penalties, and yes, there was some undisciplined play, and yes, there was a bunch of penalties, but the calls were super soft too. Like, there was a hooking call where a stick touched a guy's pants, hand goes up, whistle gets blown.
I was like,
it touched his pants.
Oh, dude, you know what it is? When you have the maple leaf on, you got the maple leaf on for whatever reason. You're getting penalties. The injustices, buddy, were terrible. Those 2 kneeing penalties, dude got 5 in a game. Well, the brain fart there is when the coach puts our best scorer in the box for 5 minutes. What if they get a penalty during this time? And what are we going to do 4 and 4 then? This kid is going to fly out there, and he's sitting in the box.
You put the best goal scorer in the box.
Yes. Dumb.
You stupid. Which brings us to the newest segment in our podcast, known as Injustices.
Injustices.
As it flashes across the screen. Injustices.
So good. Talk to me.
That's fun.
Oh.
The injustices of the reffing, and it wasn't. Now, Canada wasn't the only victim of bad reffing, and in general, injustices for us are bad reffing calls that go against a team that we cheer for. And we've talked about the balance and the lack of etiquette and balance this year in the league, and we haven't seen a good, hey, made a bad call, made a makeup call. We haven't seen a lot of that.
No.
We have seen a lot of refs trying to involve themselves in games and make a game out of something. We've seen linesmen trying to psych centerman out and it won't drop the puck, and fans getting on these people. These injustices, the reffing in this tournament, the World Junior Tournament, has never been great.
It's atrocious.
It's soft calls. It's international rules, so the calls are a lot more frequent. Mm-hmm. This was not good. This was embarrassing.
Why don't they take refs from the OHL and refs from the other around the world to do it instead of just taking these random refs from? I know they do it based on country, so it's supposed to be no favoritism in calls and stuff like that. I know they're trying to do that, but the calls are making it terrible across the board. Get some professional refs in to ref these tournaments. It's the best of the juniors. Like they can afford to pay these guys. Like bring them in, right?
And you've got players who are not like these aren't like just everyday players. These are guys who are high level elite athletes
Yeah.
that are they're going to the show
Yep.
and they're used to a certain like they're accustomed to a certain level of play where if I put my stick on a guy's pants, it doesn't impede his progress. That's not a penalty.
Right. I
If I
mean, and this
don't knee a guy, it's not a kneeing penalty.
yeah. Well, there you go. Weird. Well,
Go
the
figure.
NHL refs, if they want to, they're on a break during this time frame, right?
Sure.
What the tournament's like 7 days. Why don't we bring the NHL refs in and we can work around it? Like if the Maple Leafs could have 16 back-to-back games in a year for scheduling purposes, for sure we can bring in some NHL refs. Even if it's not the top tier guys, it can be some of the newer guys in NHL that are trying to,
Sure.
make their way and bring them into the tournament, right?
I know a ref. So I know a guy who was reffing in the OHL, Ontario Hockey League. For those of you who are in Russia and Germany who have been downloading our podcast, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Ontario Hockey League in Canada. And I knew a guy where we kind of worked side by side a little bit. Great referee. And this guy was fair and consistent. He was
Mm-hmm.
from the Barrie, Ontario area, and I saw him reffing. I think I saw him ref probably 2 Barrie OHL games and a very good, efficient. And you know what? The ref has to see the flavor of the game. You got to see how the game is
Sure.
flowing. And there's calls you make and calls you don't. There's discretionary calls. Like if it gets a little nasty in front of the net, but that's the way the game's going, you let it go.
Yep.
If it is a game where everybody's whacking each other on the hands with a stick, you're calling it. Right. And that's what this guy was. This guy understood the game, understand how to call the game. And I haven't seen a lot of that, man. But he would be a great example. He'd be a great guy to have in the tournament.
Yeah.
And he's a no BS, calm, solid dude
Yep.
to be that ref. This reffing, man. Good
It's
God,
terrible. And most of the kids
so
from
bad.
it's terrible. The kids from, Sweden and Finland and Czechia, they're playing in the OHL as well. So they're playing with
Yep.
all the same rules, right? But we know they call it differently in this. Why they shouldn't? They should call it how hockey should be played. International rules are virtually the same as NHL rules, so call it the same way.
So I pulled up the Czechia roster, and just because morbid curiosity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey, everybody, I can count to 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 guys of their 20-player roster play in the CHL. So in the Q, in the W, or the OHL. 13.
There you go. Yep.
They're used to OHL refs. They're used
For
to
sure they
CHL
are.
refs. And let's paint with a broad brush. CHL refs.
Yes.
Because it could be from the Q, could be from the
For
Dub,
sure.
could be OHL, whatever it is. That's Czechia. So, and you're playing against guys you know. Like, obviously,
sure.
these guys are, like, it's not like you're not playing
They'll go
against,
back.
like...
Some of them are going to be on the same team when they go back to their OHL, CHL. Yeah.
100%. Now, take Sweden as an example. Sweden has I think they've got 2, 3. Sweden had 3 players that were not in the Swedish Hockey League.
Wow. Okay.
So that's a little bit different. Swedish ref, I think, also called that game against Czechia. So
yeah.
not saying like, hey, Sweden, get your business together, but
get your business together. Yeah,
get your business together, Sweden.
Yeah. Oh my God. So
I'm just pulling up US out of curiosity.
Okay. When you're pulling that up, because good segue. Let's talk about Austin Matthews and his injury. And if he limps in, say, February, okay, and the Four Nations Cup is in February, does he play? There's no way he should not play.
I hope
Unless
not.
He's playing full out for the Leafs starting like tomorrow. Dude should not be playing for the potential that he could get injured. Now, he could be the U.S.'s best player, but if he's not healthy, there's no way he's playing.
Agreed. And I think you have a responsibility not to play.
Right.
So you, as Austin Matthews, the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the massive contract you've signed, I think you have a duty and a responsibility to say, I can't go. If I can't play for my team and I can't play at my level for my team, I can't play for my international team.
Now, do you think his injury is the same injury or it's another injury?
I think it's
we're just guessing.
I think it's the same injury. So I think it's aggravated the same injury. I also think that there might be a bit of funny business going on here. So and I love a good conspiracy theory. So let me check out a good one to you. Okay. You can't commit to an international team with and not play unless you have a proven injury. So some type of like, yes, this is legit and we can prove it via this way.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
What if, and I'm not going to say I think, what if he doesn't want to play for Team USA? and and the team, so whoever it is, and I don't want to say any names that rhyme with Brandon Shanahan or somebody like that.
Gotcha.
I don't want to mention anybody, but what if somebody has said you're going to be injured and you're not going to go play in this Four Nations Cup? And the way you're not going to do that is because we're going to take care of your injury.
L2 is going to be popping out of your spine and your back, and that's what the problem is.
Right. And it's fine now. Oh, okay. We can play. Oh, no, it's international time. No, you can't play. Sorry, the doctor has reassessed you and you can't play. What if that's what's happening here? What if there's some wheeling and dealing behind the scenes that are like, we need a way to say you're not playing?
Maybe, but do you think that I think Matthews wants to play because, he wants to be the dominant U.S. player, but
he's a competitor too, right? Like the guy's an animal.
Sure. But I'm telling you right now, if you're not playing for us and you've missed 13 games for the Leafs already, right? And then you're going to come in and you're going to play what? Say there's another 12 games before the Four Nations Cup. How many of those games does he need to play in order for him to be healthy enough to go play in the Four Nations Cup?
All
of the 12. Right? Come on.
At high level capacity.
Yes.
Again, he's got a duty. He has a duty to this team.
Yeah.
He's got a duty to the Toronto Maple
Leafs. We're paying his bills for the next 4 years, and then after that as well, right? But I'm telling you, man, he's starting to become injury prone, man, and that's not okay. So speaking of Austin Matthews, just quick segue. I wanted to give everybody there an update about Rick and I had our Christmas podcast, and on the Christmas podcast, I said about a week before Christmas what I was getting my wife for Christmas because she was telling me she was watching the podcast, right? Yeah. So she opens up the gift, and it was an Austin Matthews home jersey with the big C on the chest, and she was surprised.
Oh, no.
So she didn't watch the podcast. So I showed the podcast to the entire family at Christmas. So all 12 different people, different situations. They go, hey, let me just show everybody the podcast. My buddy Rick and I were doing this podcast, and we like to talk about let me just show you how it's going. And they're like, oh, cool. So I put it on the big screen TV, put it on YouTube, boom, Hockey Owl comes up, minute 31. And boom, and everybody's watching it with Alex, and they all lose it, their butts off. And I just looked at her, and man, it was perfect. So much fun. Anyways, so she admitted.
She admitted she wasn't watching.
Yeah, she was watching some. I'm like, whatever, you liar. You know what I mean? She's a hockey fan. She knows a lot about hockey. And I don't know, maybe she just doesn't want to hear it from us, buddy. I know, so weird, man.
I know.
But she was listening to it. Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't want to hear our BS all the time?
Right?
Come on.
Exactly. So funny. Unbelievable.
Well, hey, that's a great way to kind of wrap this podcast up, unless you had anything else. But
No, that's perfect.
Alex, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year if you're watching. If not,
Happy New Year.
Random Alex, whoever's listening, Random Alex.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
And it's great to be back. We missed a week with the holidays, but we're back in action and looking to bring you some more of our shenanigans and funny business. And I think we've got a guest coming up, and this guy that's going to join us. He is the master of NHL draft. He's NHL draft trivia guy, and it's not trivia. Like you ask him, like 1989,
facts.
Pick number 5, and buddy, it's Jeff Merrick style, where he's like, through the Rolodex, picks one out. So we're excited to have him out there, and we're going to have a good hockey guy. We'll have him on the pod to chat about hockey. And we do have the queen of assigning nicknames is definitely going to come out and join us.
Sometime in 2025. Sometime in
2025. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, and we'll get her out on the podcast as well for some fun and frivolity. So
love it. I made her listen to the podcast where I called her the podcast tease, and she loved that. She did it. She might have sworn. She might have sworn. It was good. I loved it. I loved it.
There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard her swear today.
Weird.
I haven't talked to her today, so that's.
Well, there you go.
That's why. Yeah. Well, hey, episode 11 in the books, man. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed talking to everybody. Join us on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Connect with us. Make some comments on our videos. Share with your friends and family, people you love or people you hate. We definitely want to get out there. So that's all from us this week. Jay, anything else?
Nope. That's great. Have a Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in to the Hockey Huddle and hanging out with us through all the slap shots, big hits, and highlight reel plays. Whether you're a diehard fan or just getting into the game, we appreciate you being part of our hockey family. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and hit us up on social media with your thoughts, questions, or hot takes. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice, your head up, and we'll catch you in the next period. Take care, everyone.